Welcome to Market Day Report. Glad you're with us here as we trade through a Tuesday. Remember, this is the final full trading week of 2025. Next time we have 5 full trading days, we'll be in 2026. That's still a few weeks away. So let's get to the markets right now. We'll start with the corn market. It's been in the red. That's where it is right now, 437. It's off 2 3/4. December, 458 1/4. It's down 2 3/4 cents. I would just think maybe a hard time buying acres at 450. I don't know. We might buy some. What about beans? Well, January at 1066 1/2. It's 5 1/4 lower. We don't have the November there, but November will be the new crop, and it's lower as well. Wheat market. This is Chicago. And July is what's in the ground right now, what we'll harvest in the spring, 531 1/2. It's off 6 3/4. Hard red, July is, again, what's in the ground as well, 532 3/4, down 4 3/4. Spring wheat, let's look at September, and it's trading lower. Finally, the cotton market, and December is the new crop, 67.64. It's down 5 points. Our guest today, Chris Swift. Chris is with Swift Trading. All right, just looking at what's happening, lower trade pretty much across the board.
It is, and one of your guests yesterday was very interesting, and he made a very good point. We need to stop being reliant on China and find something domestically to use our corn and soybean crops here. And they made a very good point, and I look at the old aspect of putting all your eggs in one basket. You're reliant upon that one basket for everything else. And unfortunately, we have found ourselves in that basket, especially for soybeans. We are solely reliant upon China. And we just got a really good taste of what that reliance is like. And when they don't step up to the plate, either as we expect them to or we would like for them to, prices go down heavily because we are solely reliant upon them. So as much as I used to dislike biofuels, and I used to talk bad about burning food for fuel, I really did. But when we look at the lesser of evils out there, when we put up these ugly windmills and we try to put up solar panels on all of our farmland, I'd much rather see the corn and the soybeans out there made into a renewable fuel source than I had to seeing any kind of other alternative energy source.
Yeah, the fact is I don't know if we're still doing this or not, but at one point, your plastic cups that you have could be made using corn byproducts of the corn process, and it's biodegradable. So there are ways that we could take our crops and find new uses. But can we do it economically?
Well, and that's a great point. And most times, no, it can't, because the cheaper of the items always wins out on it. But we tend to want to be more conservative in our actions, and we do want to be able to save our planet for our generations coming down. So maybe it's time we look at alternative things instead of spending that kind of money, because I'm pretty sure, and I may be wrong, and that's okay, but I don't think a windmill has ever paid for itself. So when we look at factors like that, why not go a little bit extra effort and do things that could be biodegradable, have more usage for our own things out there than looking at great big yard art?
Yep, good point. All right, Chris is with us, and he'll be back after the break. More Market Day Report coming up. It's Market Day Report, culling cattle. We think of culling cattle when times are tough. Maybe it's a drought. Maybe it's, COVID. We had some culling that happened then. Maybe there's another reason to cull, and I'll give that to you in a moment. First off, hog market, and then we'll work our way back over to cattle, and we're seeing higher trade right now. Front month up 55 at 84.40. And now into the 102s on the July contract as we see that starting to strengthen up. Feeders are higher across the board. That front month at 343.05 is up 312, and a solid 334 through 337 on all other contracts. Finally, over to live cattle. Chasing the cash trade, 230 on the December, actually 230.87. It's up a nickel, but the fact is, front 3 months there at 230. Chris Swift is with Swift Trading. All right, I've thrown out a bunch of numbers there. As we approach the holidays, what's Chris Swift focused on?
Trying to stay out of trouble more than anything. The markets can be very volatile, and then they cannot. And what I don't want to do is increase my expectation for something to happen and then nothing happened. But what I've noticed more than anything is basis. And I know I beat this dead horse all the time, but basis is very important to us. And we see now in the fat market, it's even. I can now trade February and April cattle, which are going to be the most expensive input cattle ever produced so far. I need to make sure that I've got a floor under them because we've already seen what can happen in a very short period of time, and then we hope that things continue on forward in our processing. But when we look at the feeder cattle market, today's feeder cattle index is going to be above 348. It'll be 348.89, somewhere right in that area there. And we just saw the futures in the January about $3 to $4 behind that, and then the rest of the months $12 to $14 behind that. So where do we look to buy the cheapest cattle? Well, clearly it's in the spring of the year right now. Where do we want to sell cattle? Today, it's the most, highest price out there. So those gives us some ideas, and we've noticed that over the last 2 weeks, we've had a big influx of cattle coming into the market, volume of cattle, simply because the price is higher. We're a good $35 higher in the futures market and about $17, $18 higher in the cash markets. So it behooves you to kind of bring some inventory out now.
Okay, so somebody I follow on X is a producer from the Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle area, Quentin Schildknight, and he had posted that he had brought in some heifers, and he was getting rid of some heifers, i.e. the ones he brought in were not staying. And I had forgotten this, but calling the crazies. You get some crazy cows out there, and they can do more damage. And I'd forgotten all about that as we talk about a tight herd. One thing we are doing with this tight herd is we're also kind of cleaning up some of the genetics as well.
No doubt. Our grading has been the best it's ever been. Prime and choice, extremely high grading. Beef per cow, record every week except last week, and we were only 3 pounds off from the previous record. So increase carcass weight on the frame. The cattle still seem to be healthy and able to do it, and we've heard some slaughter weights reaching over 2,000 pounds now.
Wow.
So it's incredible when rationing does, and that's exactly what this is, rationing. We had to find a way to increase our beef production with what we had, and we stifled a little bit of the demand with the higher price, and we increased the production per animal.
There you go. That's why we love having him in here. It's Chris Swift, Swift Trading.
We only bring in the smart gentlemen, right? Here we go. Thanks, guys.